Hello, welcome to this week's Simple Sewing. We're going to go through and make a Lord of the Rings leaf pin clasp from the movie that many of the characters wear. So this is what the kit will look like when you get it. This paper in here you can hang up, decorate however you want. I had fun cutting all those out. And then you'll have 2 stencils, 2 pieces of felt inside that you can work with, and 2 clasps at the bottom along with your needle, which be careful, and your thread. So the first thing you'll do is take your stencil and cut it out. Put it on one of your pieces of felt and then cut the design around. You might want to trace it. The smaller one may be a little bit difficult to do the first time, so I would recommend doing the larger one and then go back and do the smaller one just for fun. And with the thread, there's a lot of thread there at once too, so if you want to cut that in half or thirds, it's easier to work with smaller amounts of thread as well, because sometimes they'll get all knotted up when you're doing a big project like this. I like to cut mine in smaller and then just keep doing smaller amounts instead of one larger amount. So once you have your design cut onto your felt, what we're going to do is go through and create all of the little leaf designs that make this a print that we can know and recognize as a leaf. So what I do is to do this line across, take your needle and thread, and what you're going to do is maybe tie 2 or 3 knots to make sure it's nice and secure. And when you do a normal thread across, you can actually take the piece while it's still in the back, thread up a little bit, so see, we can see this is way up here, far away from our design before. And actually what you're going to do is thread backwards into the same area it was before, and that creates that continuous line. And then you can pull another spot further back and then thread again. And that's how we get the design looking like a continuous line, which it can be difficult to make it completely straight, but at the same time this design actually calls for a little bit of curves and wiggles to it, so then it looks more authentic. So you'll go through and do that. I would recommend doing the larger lines across the leaf. So that would be a line like this across and a line down, and then go back and add the little detail work in. And then once you have those details on there, I went back and you can sew. So remember, this is the front, what we just created, and the back will get kind of messy, and it doesn't matter, nobody will see the back. So once you want to sew on the clasp, you can either sew it directly onto all of this here and it won't affect the front, or you can hot glue it on. And I hot glued it on because it just made it a little bit easier, and then it was nice and secure on there. And I actually went over and I glued the back of some of the sewing that I'd done just to make sure it was nice and locked in place. And then there's actually a pipe cleaner included, so you can go back and add the embellishments like what they have in the movie. If you don't want to use the clasp, you can add a magnet and put it on your fridge, something like that. But this one is a nice craft to go through, and you can add it to a Halloween costume. You can make a cape pretty easily, and then with just 2 simple things, that's pretty recognizable to this book and movie series. So I hope you enjoyed this week's Simple Sewing, and I hope to see you next time.